Unity of Houston is an inclusive church where we seek to understand and live the teachings of Jesus and other spiritual masters. At Unity, we welcome all people from all spiritual paths and every walk of life. We celebrate the diversity of our city and of our world, and we teach love, tolerance, and oneness, seeking to live in harmony with open minds and open hearts.
Wherever you are in your spiritual path, you are always welcome at Unity. Join us and discover that the life of your dreams is already within you. There is a process of spiritual evolution or growth or healing. You can call it a lot of different things. But I don't know about you, but I've needed a little work along the way. What we teach in Unity, and I'm not going to go through all of our statements, but I do want to share with you our purpose is that in community, we nurture and empower each other, transforming our lives that we may serve the world. And it is that transforming our lives part. We are already made in the image and the likeness of God. You are already worthy, already whole, already perfect. But every place in life that doesn't feel that way, it's because we have not fully embodied that truth. And so this requires something from us. We have to become that which we already are. You know that? Can you vibe with that? Can I get an amen in this house? Yeah, we have to become. So I do have a joke, 3 points, and a poem today, because that's what the old school, that's the way you did a sermon. So the joke is actually not a created joke. These are things that real-life toddlers have said to their parents. I love this. I told my toddler that look with your eyes, but keep your hands down to stop him from touching the Christmas tree ornaments. It was going well until I turned around and caught him touching the baubles with his tongue. And this is an online user. Her handle is, I hide from my kids. She says, my 7-year-old says, trust me. He says that a lot for someone who lies about wearing underwear. I love this one too. The best thing about 3-year-olds is the way they do what they can do with words that they know. My daughter doesn't know the word for cough drops, so she is requesting medicine beans. So, like toddlers, they're just learning the world. They're just getting used to things like cough drops, and it takes time. It takes time for them to grow into what their life will be. And the same is true for us in spiritual terms, that we are already whole, perfect, and complete, and yet we have to grow into a deeper embodied reality of that so that we can get free from all those old false beliefs that keep us down. We don't want to do that. So I don't know why. I told you I've been having kind of a poetry thing lately, and an affirmation occurred to me just 10 minutes before the service, and I'd like you to share it with you, and if you don't mind, repeat after me. I am not what I was, nor yet what I shall be. I am willing to become the very best of me. Use it. You don't owe me any royalties. Just go for it. But that's really true. I'm not what I used to be. I've grown. I've changed. I've healed some of those old beliefs. But I'm not yet what I'm going to be because I still have some things I got to figure out, work through, release. Most of it is just releasing old ideas about who I am. But I'm willing. I'm willing to become. I'd like to share with you our statement on becoming. This is one of our 3 values statements. It says this: through spiritual practice and through grace, we heal and grow, revealing the Christ within. At Unity, we don't teach that Christ was Jesus of Nazareth's last name, that it's a Greek word, Christos, had to do for the anointed one. And Jesus told his followers, greater than things than these shall those do who've come after me. That he taught us that the kingdom of heaven is within. He didn't say that I'm the only one that's got this. You've got to say a sinner's prayer to get somewhere. He didn't say that. Jesus was encouraging his disciples in his earthly ministry and in the writings that we have retained from him that we are to rise into, to become the Christ ourselves. We already are, but we may not know it. So this is what our being statement, our becoming statement is about, through practice and through grace. So my 3 points today are this. Practice doesn't need to be perfect. That's the first one. The second is grace only needs your receptivity. And the third point is that we need each other. I was feeling very needy, I guess, when I put this together. They all have need in them. So here's the thing with practice. Half-assed is good enough sometimes. It is. You know, I have days, I've been building my meditation practice for 32 years. And some days it ain't great. It's just not. I'll go through weeks where it's a struggle just to sit myself down in the chair, and I have a whole thing I do around it, and some days it just doesn't get me there. You know what? I keep doing it. I just keep coming back to it again and again. And after 32 years, the groove is a little better worn. So those times when I can't meditate, they seem to get shorter. It does seem to be easier to just move into that. It doesn't take as long to get back in the groove as it used to. And the benefits of all those years, and I'm just going to say it again, of half-assing it, have been beneficial. It's given me, I've said this before, I've also said that nothing in my life has transformed my experience other than getting sober as meditation. That spiritual practice has changed my experience of living in this world. It's given me about a 1.5 second buffer zone between me and you, particularly if we're on the freeway. It just gives me a little bit of moment before I react. That's all I need. And it is meditation, the practice of consistently inconsistent meditation over the years has changed me. Changed my experience of life. There are a lot of spiritual practices that we offer and that we teach. We teach you how to do them. Can you believe that? This is like really one-stop shop here. Uh-oh, I moved something. Here are the ones that are really top of, this is probably my prioritized list. Prayer, meditation, affirmation, denial, service as a spiritual practice, giving of financial good, community, as a spiritual practice, compassion, study. This is an important practice of mine. Self-care as a spiritual practice. There are hundreds we could add to that list. But those are the ones that I check for myself. Am I doing those things? Am I doing enough to keep me on that path of my own becoming? Hildegard of Bingen, the wonderful medieval nun in German, she said, my prayer is to keep me on the green and growing edge of my own becoming. Isn't that a beautiful prayer? To stay on that place where I'm continuing to know I ain't got it figured out. I will tell you that certainty is not your friend on your spiritual path. Thinking you got it all worked out is really not very helpful. But to stay on that edge of becoming and being willing to step into whatever the practice is that's calling you. Prayer and meditation are our primary practices in New Thought, and they are important. But there will be others for you that become more important. I still do recovery meetings as part of my spiritual practice. I haven't had any alcohol in decades, but I still do that practice for myself. How do you get to Carnegie Hall? Practice, practice, practice. It's an old joke. Isak Stern, the wonderful violinist, at the end of one of his concerts, I don't know if it was a Carnegie Hall or not, but a person came up to him and said, Maestro, I would give my life to play as you do. And he looked at her and he said, I did. I did. He gave his life to create art in a way that nobody else could. His sound and his phrasing of these incredible pieces of classical music, it's unique. We'll never have another one like him because he gave his life to the practice of mastering the violin. In the letter to the Philippians, this is chapter 4, starting with verse 4. Rejoice in the Lord always, and be listening for practices as I read this, if you can find them. Rejoice in the Lord always, and again I will say, rejoice. Let your reasonableness be known to everyone. God is at hand. Do not be anxious about anything, but in everything, by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known to God. and the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and minds in Christ. Finally, brothers and sisters, whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is just, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is commendable, if there is any excellence, if there is anything worthy of praise, think on these things. What you have learned and received and heard and seen in me, practice these things, and the God of peace will be with you. I don't know how many times I've forgotten everything I know when trouble shows up. It's like I used to know good things that helped me, and I just can't. Now I'm just in the crisis. Anybody else who had that experience? I just forgot. I forgot that God is here and all is well. I forgot that I have solutions. I forgot that I have a community. I have friends I can call and ask for help. I don't know any of that. I am lost. I am at sea. I am adrift. But not forever. I don't spend as much time there as I used to. As a matter of fact, the practice of, we used to talk about the 900-pound phone, when you're just so isolated and so scared, it's hard to pick up a phone and call someone. Now, texting has made it maybe 400 pounds. I don't know, maybe a little bit lighter. But I don't stay there long because I have practices. And community is one of my practices. Mentorship, I have mentors. I have people that I look to when I need help. I call them up or text them. Say, can I get 5 minutes of your time? I have really 4 weekly prayer calls, an hour each, with people who are on this path deeply. We spend an hour with each other. Most of the time we're just talking about what's going on in our lives, and then we bring it to prayer. This is a practice that has changed every condition that I've brought to the prayer partner. And it keeps me out of that isolated crisis thinking most of the time. It's okay to forget, but as Paul says, if we can keep coming back, think on these things. Ruminating on the problem is not going to solve it. Somebody needed to hear that today. You know what ruminating is? You just chew on it, chew on it, chew on it. Think about how bad it is, and you think, well, this could happen, and then that could happen, and then that's going to happen, and then you come right back to the beginning, and you go through that cycle again and again. Journaling is a spiritual practice that can help with that. Don Miguel Ruiz, he taught a practice called mitote, which is a Toltec word for stalker, like when you're hunting. What is that thing in us that makes us chew on it, ruminate on it, think on the negative over and over, meditating on the negative? Worry is not your friend. Don't do it. There's a wonderful minister, I've forgotten her name. She was interviewed by Krista Tippett. She was asking for help from the desert mothers and fathers. They were early Christians, and she was an academic who had studied them. And then she began to hear things, she's getting intuitive little things. And then but she would go, not right now, I'm worrying. I don't have time. Worrying is my work right now. We've got to begin to, you just got to start. You may never have meditated. You may feel like, doing it once a week in a service for 4 minutes is all you need. Well, maybe for now, but I'm going to encourage you to think about practicing, deepening that practice. And you don't have to be perfect. You can do something about the way you feel. You can do something about those false beliefs. And it requires your willingness and your action. That's practice. Gabrielle Bernstein says this: the way we experience the world around us is a direct reflection of the world within us. If our thoughts and energy are not supportive, then life won't be supported. Therefore, we must take responsibility by consciously supporting ourselves in every given moment. She just laid it out for us, didn't she? You can do something about your life, but you have to do something. You have to actually find a practice, or like me, I have a whole collection of practices that help me. Last week, I don't think you all responded in the way I hoped you would to the Ram Dass quote about, I have learned that we grow spiritually by one body length at a time. I talked about that, where we try something new and we fall flat on our face. It's a little discouraging, but I thought it was funny. And for me, it's true. The first time I tried meditating, flat on my face. I was terrible at it. But I kept trying it. The first time I tried to speak an affirmative prayer out loud, I wasn't very good. I was nervous. I got the steps in the wrong order. But guess what? Just keep getting up, keep moving forward. That's really the thing. So let's move on to the second point. You got to practice if you want to change. And this is the locus of your control. You can do it. You can just set the time on your calendar and you can sit your butt in the chair and you can do it. You can do this. Okay. But the second point is it's not all up to you. Grace only needs one thing from you: your receptivity. See, when we were putting together these statements, our being, becoming, and belonging statements and our purpose statement, we had probably 10,000 words that had been created by you and the leaders in our community over a bunch of workshops, and our what we call it, the drafting committee, was putting together these new guiding words for Unity of Houston. And as we were working on this, and we didn't have the names, the being, becoming, and belonging. I remember when that landed in the room, we're like, wow, that's really cool. Being, becoming, and belonging. But this idea that we knew there was something in there about spiritual growth, that this had come from you, our community, that spiritual growth is important. And we were aware that there's sort of this dichotomy. There are things that we can do, and yet we are not alone. There is a power greater than we are that supports us, that lifts us, even in the times we can't figure it out. And in the traditional Christian language, that's grace.
They're right over here.
So whatever there?
These two, they're right here.
They're okay, right there. They're grace. Gotcha. Grace. The old definition that I learned of grace, it's God's unmerited favor. You don't have to earn it. You don't have to work for it. It's just life supports you because you're a part of life. And yet, often, there is a block somewhere in the delivery system, and guess which end it's on? Not on God's end, not on Spirit's end, not on the universe's end. It is just forever yesing. It is forever ising its own beautiful qualities of being. It's just giving itself forever to you. And yet, we're not open to receive, usually because of some old belief. I think, Candace, I think you taught on the 4 kingdoms of consciousness for the Sunday Connections class a few months ago. If you don't know those, or sometimes called the 4 stages of consciousness, the way Michael Beckwith teaches it, but it's to me, by me, through me, as me. These are stages of spiritual evolution. The first, to me, like everything is happening to me. There is a God out there who either likes or doesn't like me, doing things to me. The world is doing things to me. Not a very healthy or good place for us to stay. And when we finally get tired of being the victim in our life, the portal from Kingdom 1 to Kingdom 2 is to give up victimhood. And then we move into Kingdom 2, which is by me. We understand there is something I can do. I can take up a practice. I can do an affirmative prayer. I can hold something in mind as my truth and keep coming back to that truth and manifest it into reality. Have y'all ever done that? It's cool. I do it all the time. By me. I have been empowered by God to co-create a life of freedom and fulfillment. It's good stuff. And I have something I can do here. But that's not all of it. Because there comes a point when I realize that my job is not to run the whole dang universe. Because when I start thinking I've got control in my life, I think I can control your life too. Because you ain't acting right. So I can just manifest you doing something different, being something different. Well, that is not the way it works. There comes a point, and life will be so helpful and cooperative. It will bring us things that we cannot manifest away. Have you ever noticed that? This is just what is. The portal from Kingdom 2, which is by me, to Kingdom 3, which is through me, is surrender. Just stop. Lay down your resistance. The first step in recovery is to admit powerlessness. This thing I've been doing is not working. The definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. And the way out of that is not to keep doing the thing, but to stop, to let go, to surrender. When I got sober, I remember I went to a meeting, first very meeting, November 18th, 1999, and a friend of mine later, I was celebrating an anniversary of sobriety, and she says, Michael, I remember the first day you came in here. You were in terrible shape. She said, your alcoholism had crushed you so flat. And she said, and that's beautiful, because then grace can just cover you so easily. And that's what happened. Grace covered me. I was so out of fight. I was so out of trying to make it work my way that surrender opened this space in me. And I've had that moment again and again. Again and again, I moved from that portal, from by me, I got this thing, to through me. Holy Spirit, use this for good. Who could have known that alcoholism could be used for good? But it has. Very good in my life. It's been incredibly useful when Holy Spirit moved through me and continues to. So I want to share this famous quote. I finally found an attribution. AI says this is who it is. I don't know if that's true or not, but O.R. Melling. Does anybody know who that is? Well, O.R., we love you. When you come to the edge of all that you know, you must believe one of two things. Either there will be ground to stand on, or you will be given wings to fly. Isn't that beautiful? At the end of all you know to do, if you're willing to step out, that's grace. Grace will meet you there. And the third point, we need each other. I had 3 conversations this week with community members here that just inspired the heck out of me. One has been going through an incredible health challenge. She's done this whole cancer recovery and now doing there's a medical trial to help with some of the after effects of that treatment. And it's hard. She's having a lot of difficult side effects to the treatment. And we text a lot. And she shares with me what's going on. And I just continue to pray for her and and she keeps moving forward. And it inspires me. And I texted her this week. I just said, you have this incredible ability to trust the process and just do the next right thing. That's really all you got to do. Just trust the process. That's grace. Do the next right thing. That's practice. You see that? Those 2 things we need. Trusting that God has me, that life has me, that divine intelligence will come to me. I don't know if you all enjoyed the little guided meditation I did, but that has been so helpful for me to think about this. I want to tell you about a time, I don't know, probably 2001, 2, something like that. I was invited to sing at the AG&T, Association for Global New Thought Conference in Palm Springs. And it was August in Palm Springs. I think it's hot. They say it's a dry heat. It's an oven. I mean, it is awful. It was 115 every day I was there. But we had air conditioning. And there were, I think, 1,500 people at that conference. It was a huge ballroom at a conference center. And I got to sing. And I hadn't done a lot of that for kind of well-known people. Barbara Marks Hubbard, a wonderful New Thought teacher and a futurist, was there. And she shared something I thought was so interesting. She said, recently people told me that I can just ask the universe for information and get it, so I decided to try it. And she said, I began to ask, and this incredible information was flowing back to me through my intuitive mind. I began to write it down, and she said, maybe I should ask who this is. She said, who is this? And the answer came back, your higher, more evolved self. Isn't that cool? I know. David White, the poet, spoke on that same session I got to sing, and he beautiful. I told you in my 30s is when poetry really came alive for me, and it was about this time. I was in my late 30s, and he wrote a poem, and I don't remember, I've read the poem many times, but I'm not going to try to read it, but he just talked about this thing you know is yours to do, and you reach out your hand, and you know the one will meet you is there, and it's you. And then the venerable Diani Wahu, she is a holder of the sacred wisdom of the Cherokee people. And she told this story of being a little 8-year-old girl, and her mother and grandmother were the medicine women of her clan, and they felt this gift was in her, and they were trying to teach her, and she was being given a lot of teaching. And at that 8 or 9 years old, she She saw the telephone and the electrical wires all around where she was living, and she felt that Mother Earth was being strangled by our technology. And she went into this deep place of fear around the power lines, choking Mother Earth. And she had a vision. At 8 or 9 years old, this woman came to her who had a particular costume on, and she said, "It's okay, little one. Mother Earth is strong. She's okay. You can rest easy." And that changed her. And she carried that new perspective throughout her life. Later, after she had become a holder of this sacred wisdom and became sought after in speaking all over the world, she was in Turkey. And when she was there was an earthquake, and everybody ran out from the conference ground, and they were outside, and she said, "There was something about the building shaking, it just shook me into some new awareness, and I looked down, and I was wearing a costume that they had given me, and I was the woman in my vision at 8 years old." Somehow, her future self had visited her and given her wisdom. I don't know what any of that means, but the song I chose to sing that day is "Let Me Fall" from Cirque du Soleil's Kidam. There's a lyric that says, "Someone I am is waiting for my courage. The one I want, the one I will become will catch me. Let me fall." Isn't that cool? Spirit coordinated all of that in that little hour-and-a-half session together. That lesson has stayed with me, and now I'm giving it to you. You are more than you know yourself to be. Just as the you that was struggling in that earlier time of crisis in your life, you got through it. Every person here has a 100% success rate at solving every problem, surviving every crisis you've ever been in. You're here. Let's give ourselves a round of applause. We did it. We did it. Yay. We made it. We're here. What makes you think that's going to stop now? What makes you think that time is done? No. When we are committed to becoming who God says we are, that will continue to be the case. There is a wisdom in you that you don't even know you have yet. There are songs that are going to be written that will change your life. They haven't even been written yet. I'm going to write some of those, I think. Gary Norian's probably going to write a few of them that will change my life. This isn't it. This is just where we are now. And if we stay present, something is going to pull us forward in our healing and our growth. The world needs you now. Frederick Buechner says, he defines vocation as where your deep gladness meets the world's deep need. We need each other. And it's not going to be the thing that you don't want to do, but you got to do. No, it's where your deep gladness meets the world's deep need. And Howard Thurman, my beloved Howard Thurman, says, don't ask what the world needs. Ask what makes you come alive and go do that, because what this world needs is people that have come alive. I don't know what your thing is, but there's something that makes you come alive, and we need it. We need it. The other person I was speaking to this week, a member of our community, went through something really rough. And she did the practice of getting support for what she went through. And I tell you, in the coffee we had at 8 o'clock in the morning on Thursday, like there is a transformation that has occurred. And she talked about, I meant to say the first person who in their community, she's part of our choir. And she says her choir sisters have gotten her through this, all this medical stuff. And this other person was talking about this other group of women, this community of souls that have carried her, lifted her. Community is a spiritual practice. If you're willing to let us know you, we'll do our best to know for you that there is a beautiful future ahead. I don't know why I'm going to end on reminding you that you're going to die, but that's what God said to do, so I'm going to do it. In Theravada Buddhism, there is a whole lineage that's every day you meditate on the 10 stages of your decaying corpse. I'm not going to do that. But the idea is to remind us that this is temporary, and this is a gift. Having a body is a great gift. Having a human lifetime with all of the headaches, all of the struggles, it's still a gift, and it's an opportunity. Are we using it? What are you waiting for? Rumi says this, I have learned that every mortal will taste death, but only some will taste life. What makes you come alive? Find what makes you come alive and go do that. Find your people in this life that will support you. Last week I read a poem from Marie Howe, and I'm going to close on that and go into prayer again. I just so drawn to her, and she did a whole book of poetry about her brother who was 11 years younger, but she says he was her greatest teacher, and he died of AIDS in the 80s when people died pretty quickly of AIDS. He lived, I think, 3 years with the virus. And this is called The Last Time. She writes, the last time we had dinner together in a restaurant with white tablecloths, he leaned forward and he took my 2 hands in his and he said, I'm going to die soon. I want you to know that. And I said, I think I do know. And he said, what surprises me is that you don't. And I said, I do. And he said, what? And I said, know that you're going to die. And he said, no, I mean that you are. We're only here for a little while. But while we're here, the universe has opened itself to you. Life is seeking to pour the richest blessings you could ever know through you. Be here. Listen. Let's pray. So in this moment, knowing that the one life of God, that is all there is revealing its glory, its majesty, its magnificence through all of its infinite expressions, and I am one. And every person within the sound of my voice is an expression of God's greatness and possibility. And so what I know for me and for all of us, that now is the time to say yes. Now is the time to step into our lives more fully, more deeply. Now is the time to have the conversations we've been putting off, to take the class we didn't think we wanted to do. Whatever it is, we're willing now to use, as Mary Oliver says, this one wild and precious life, to see it as the gift that it is. And so what I know is that as we are willing to take up the practices that support our health and well-being, we trust the grace that comes in around the corners of all the places we couldn't get to. That love is flowing to us. Love is flowing through us. That our humanness is transformed by God's love. As the light shines through a stained glass window, all of the texture and color of our lives becomes an opening for God's magnificence to be known here, in this world, in this time. And I know that we now open to a greater and greater degree to let that light come through us. We tell the truth about the conditions of our life and tell the greater truth of the spiritual reality of who and what we are. And help comes to us seen and unseen. We are more than we have known ourselves to be so far. We are willing to become more of who we are, authentically, courageously, freely. So we trust it. We do the work and we trust the process. We let go, we let God. All is well, and we are grateful. And so it is. Amen. I have the best job in the world, to get to stand here Sunday after Sunday and to see you revealing the light of God that can only come through you. If no one has told you today that they love you, I love you. God bless you. Thank you for watching this message today. I'd like to invite you to join us in person here on campus at Unity of Houston for Sunday morning or Wednesday evening services. If you can't be with us here on our campus, you can still join us live on Facebook or on our website, unityhouston.org, Sunday mornings at 11 a.m. Central.